Hey guys, this is a patch review for 7.35D. This is a relatively small patch, so let's get right into it. Starting with items, one of the biggest change was to the rapier. They made it so that the damage part and the spell amp doesn't work at the same time. So previously, without this change, when you had a rapier and a brooch, the brooch would benefit from both a spell amplification and extra damage on spells that use right click for the damage source, such as dagger, such as a sniper ulti. And now with this change, they cannot abuse that interaction with rapier and the brooch. Other notable change is the change to the Helm of Dominator and Helm of Overlord, where these items now grant gold bounty for the creep that gets dominated, which makes it so people want to spam the item on the 45-second cooldown. And it's like a pseudo Midas. It's a general buff to the aura building or army building heroes that like they're not existent in the last patch. Maybe with this change they come back, who knows. Next up, there is a nerf to the Mjolnir and Javelin, respectively. Not a big change. Some small nerf on the cooldown for a stick. It makes it better for spammy heroes, such as Bristleback or Tidehunter PA, that they gonna be annoyed by these items. But it's not a big deal. A small buff to the Null Talisman, and heroes like may start buying it again. Or like buy like more than one of it, but it's a minor change. The biggest change here is the Revenant Brooch not working with the critical strikes. So you cannot deal a critical magical attack from now on. And like the item is not good anymore on a hero such as PA. So yeah. Goodbye, PA Brooch. A small buff to the Shadow Blade for the duration. Into the natural items, a small nerf to the Grove Bow is the most notable one. Not a big deal though. The item is still good on the same heroes, and they're gonna still keep the item for the most part. But it's like a more consideration to change into the Culliver on tier 3 items. A small changes to others, like a small buff to the Babylon and like Light Collector. But I don't think, especially the Babylon, is still that good. It's a small extra regen if you put it on a regen mode, extra mana regen if you put it on mana mode. But like I haven't seen people using this item that often. It's very situational. Into the general changes, the experience from stacking it get nerfed, but stacking is still very good. So I still do a stacking if it's the time for it. Into the heroes. On the Ancient Apparition, the mana cost reduction on the cold feed means Ancient Apparition on level 1 can cast 3 cold feet. So if you pick a stun hero with the Ancient Apparition, it's even more powerful now on level 1. It's more dangerous. Nothing major on the Arc Warden changed. On the Bat Rider, there is like the damage is the same, it's just more bursty, so nothing fancy actually. A small buff to the Beastmaster. With this change onto Bloodseeker, right now you can buy Sange and amplify the lifesteal on the Bloodseeker. So this makes it so that items like Paladin Sword or Sange works better on the Bloodseeker. A notable change into the Centaur damage, especially in the laning phase, so that he may like miss some kills because of these changes into the damage. Centaur was one of the strongest heroes on the last patch, so this nerf is like it was coming. On the CK, he can farm creeps even faster. It's a small buff, but it is there. They buffed this Chaos Strike on the creeps like several times. It was like 1.5, now it's like up to 2x damage, so it's significant. Like it makes it CK to farm way faster than before. CK always had a farm issue, and like it's fixed now. Notable nerf to the Chen, as he was one of the most successful hero in pro scene. He was always banned. Now he may see some play. A small damage buff to the cogs. As long as you have mana and you get hit by it, you will take more damage. The clone change on the CM, it was like super cheap to cast this spell. Like you could farm entire creep wave or entire camp with only 50 mana. It's now a significant nerf. But the hero is still very powerful. Like you can still play this hero. The shard is still very powerful. It's still worth it. Like 150 mana is as much as it costs to cast one frostbite. With this shard, you can cast the frostbite on like all the units in the AoE. So it's still a very good shard. The half second extra duration on the Dark Willow Bedlam, it means that the Bedlam will deal 2 extra hits in its rotations, and like it's a significant extra damage on the hero. A slow amp on the Disruptor makes it for a better kill setup on the laning phase. They fix a bug related to the Dragon Knight. So illusions used to keep the ulti attack modifier after the hero back to the normal form. Now they don't, and like they get back to the normal illusions. Also a small nerf to the corrosive breath. So overall nerf to the DK. This is an interesting buff on a Drow Ranger multi-shot. So they nerf the talent, but they add the cooldown reduction to the spell itself. And so usually by level 15, where you get this talent, you're gonna max out the multi-shot for farm, of course. So now like you can use the multi-shot on 9 seconds instead of 10, which is a significant buff, as this is the main source of farm and teamfight contribution for the Drow Ranger. A small buffs to the spirit heroes, but nothing significant. They changed the time dilation so that if you put only 1 point in it, it's much weaker, and heroes that get annoyed by this spell, like a Bristleback, heroes that want to spam spells, Weaver, Bristleback, Tidehunter, now they're gonna have easier time against Faceless Void. General talent nerf into Hoodwink, Kunkka, Leshrac, nothing significant. For the Lich, they made it so that you can cast the ulti on the shard. So if the target is out of your cast range, you can actually cast the ulti onto shard and hit the opponent with it. You can also, so with the change to the Lich, if someone is out of your cast range, like this Dragon Knight is out of my cast range, I can use this and then cast the ulti, and like it will still bounce into the hero. So it fixed some of the cast range issue on the Lich. Also, it works if you cannot see the target. So let's say this guy is behind the trees. I can cast the shard and cast the ulti, and it will still hit the target. The vision, I can see him because anytime the ulti is hitting someone, I can see it. Also, as you can see, there is an effect caused by my shard that it shows a hero is exist or a unit is exist behind the trees. So this is the main change to the Lich. Overall nerfs on the life stealer. So they make it so that movement speed reduced on the rage, the cast range on Infest with the Aghanim Scepter, and the cast range of the shard is reduced. Not that significant, but it's overall nerf. They increased the cooldown on the Mars, so he cannot be active as often early on. Nothing major here. A small talent buff on the Necrophos, the only guy who gets talent buff. On the Pangolier, so they make it so the spell, the Swashbuckle, deals more damage other than level 1 on other instances, but since it's 3 attacks instead of 4, the items doesn't work as well on the attacks. So if you get a diffuser blade or a basher or a maelstrom, it doesn't proc as often because you're not hitting 4 times, you're only hitting 3 times. So that's overall a nerf on a Pangolier, but the damage itself is a buff. They nerfing him by buffing him, by giving him more damage. So the Primal Beast and Pog, they both get nerfed in terms of damage. In terms of Pog, it's attack speed and like less range on his phase shift shard. On Primal Beast, it's less damage overall on early levels and on Scepter later on. Shadow Fiend became slightly a better hero as most people should max out the raise on the Shadow Fiend, and now it doesn't cost as much mana to max them out. On the Silencer, it becomes a better attacking hero. It's still not good to be a core because he has the same issue of getting ganked. But other than that, it's a better Silencer for making it into an attacking hero. So if you're a support Silencer and like it's a good game to attack the enemy doesn't have good heroes to run at backlines, it's worth considering turning into an attacking type hero, maxing out your glaives. Snapfire gets a significant buff where his blast deals more damage. It doesn't deal more damage. It applies more slow on both movement and on attack when he hits people from the close range. And so it makes it better for Snapfire to trade. Also, increasing the projectile speed on the cookie makes it like slightly easier to land the stun with it. Increase our +1 armor as usual by Valve. There is always a one hero with this decrease 1 armor or increase 1 armor. Like on a hero like a Sven who doesn't have much armor to begin with, this is actually significant. So now Sven has 2.5 armor instead of 3.5, which is actually significant as a melee hero who gets hit by a lot. Before he gets like to level 2 or 3 and he gets like his bonus armor spell, this is actually gonna punish him. He can be punished because of this armor by ranged heroes more often. A small nerf to the laning phase of the Techis by the cooldown of the Sticky Bomb. Meld attack dealing more damage overall. Nothing big, but it's actually significant once in the late game against the TA. Once he has like some damage item like a Crystallis or Dezo, he can deal significant more damage and like actually burst people. Overall nerf to the Terrorblade, especially the reflection, but it's not actually that big. I think the Terrorblade support is still viable. The reflection damage early on, it doesn't matter much because like 15% of like a hero with 90 damage, it's still like 4 or 5 damage. It's like it's not insignificant. So instead of being worried about this, it's just the radius that matters more. So it's harder in the team fights to target multiple heroes. That's the biggest nerf to the Terrorblade support. So instead of a S tier, Terrorblade is now a -A tier, A- tier. Overall nerf to the damage on the Timbersaw. And he's slightly less tanky, but nothing significant. It's the main thing is the damage nerf to the Timber Chain, and like people used to go blink and like burst people, and now the burst is much weaker. 2 base armor for the Tinker makes the Tinker one of the highest armor hero. I think it's the 3rd after Terrorblade and Bounty Hunter with this +2 armor. He's one of the tankiest level 1 heroes in the game. An overall buff to his matrix to save people. I don't think it makes the Tinker come back to the meta. It doesn't change the matchup. Like he already had a high armor, so like getting 2 more, it doesn't change it much. But it's like some quality of life for a hero who was not relative to the patch. Nothing major on the tiny. The slightly less damage on the tree grab on level 1 makes it so that the 1 point on this spell does less. But overall, it's not a big change on this hero. It like the tinies is still good. Underlord, they changed the talent with the scepter. So scepter used to give like 40% slow other than applying the pit on the ulti. Now the slow is on the talent by 30%, and instead of the AoE talent, they give the AoE into the scepter for like bigger pit of malice. Overall buff to the Underlords, as they nerf other offlane meta heroes, they buff the Underlord, so we might see some Underlords come back to the meta. Nothing major about Ursa, the slow resistance doesn't really matter. A small buff to the Void Spirit, nothing major again. It might change some CS availability on early levels, like people can like CS better with this. Or a small damage buff to get the kills, but it's not significant. The hero was in a relatively bad place. Now he's in a balanced place, I think. Nothing significant still. And that's the Weaver get buff for a bajillion time. Like it's like 5th patch in a row they buffing the Weaver, I guess. Something like that. So Weaver might become one of the main heroes of the patch. I'm not sure, but Weaver is one of the heroes to look out for. Yep. That was the overall things you need to know about the patch. I'm looking for some heroes with domination, with summon units. To come back to the meta with the Helm Dome change. And weaker Mjolnir makes it so that heroes have harder time clearing out the Helm of Overlord creeps and armies. A small nerf to some other shield items such as Orchid or Bloodthorn or Oblivion Staff or Charisma make it so that like chill heroes who use Orchid and Charisma, they be less relevant. But not a big change. Overall, it's a small balance patch. They nerf everything that was good, they buff everything that was bad, and leave everything that was somewhat in between. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment, like, and see you next time.